Hello, my friend. If you are listening to my voice right now, I want you to forget something that has probably followed you for years. Forget the idea that success is built in one dramatic moment. Forget the belief that one perfect opportunity will suddenly change your life. And forget the voice inside your head that keeps saying, I'll start tomorrow. Because tomorrow is one of the most expensive words in the world. I have met many intelligent people. I have worked with talented people. I have seen people with incredible education, amazing ideas, and endless potential. Yet many of them stayed exactly where they were. Not because they lacked ability, not because life was unfair, but because they waited. They waited until they felt confident. They waited until they had more money. They waited until they knew enough English. They waited until they stopped feeling afraid. And while they waited, life quietly moved on. I want to ask you something. How many dreams have disappeared because someone kept waiting for the perfect moment? Maybe you are learning English right now. Maybe you keep telling yourself, I'll start speaking when my grammar is perfect. I'll join a conversation after I know more vocabulary. I'll speak when my pronunciation sounds like a native speaker. Let me tell you something I learned a long time ago. Perfection is one of the smartest disguises fear has ever invented. Fear rarely says, I'm afraid. Instead, it says, I'm preparing. I need more time. I'm almost ready. I'll begin next month. It sounds reasonable. It sounds responsible. But many times, it is simply fear wearing a beautiful mask. When I first began speaking English, I did not have perfect pronunciation. I made mistakes, many mistakes. Sometimes I could not remember simple words. Sometimes I misunderstood people completely. Sometimes I smiled because I did not know what else to do. But every conversation taught me something that no textbook ever could. Real confidence never comes before action. It comes because of action. This is true in business. It is true in relationships. It is true when learning a language, and it is true in life. People often ask me, how can I become more confident? I think they're asking the wrong question. Instead, ask, what small action can I take today, even if I don't feel confident? That question changes everything, because confidence is not the beginning of the journey. Confidence is the reward for continuing the journey. I remember meeting many entrepreneurs who wanted advice. Some had brilliant business plans, beautiful presentations, detailed financial predictions. Everything looked perfect, except one thing: they had never started. Meanwhile, another person arrived with an imperfect idea. No impressive presentation, no complicated strategy, only one thing: they had already begun. Guess which person learned faster? Guess which person discovered real problems sooner? Guess which person became stronger? Action always teaches faster than imagination. Your mind can think for years. Reality can teach you in one afternoon. That is why I always tell people, don't fall in love with planning. Fall in love with learning. Planning feels safe. Learning often feels uncomfortable. But only one of them changes your life. This also reminds me of something many English learners experience. They watch hundreds of videos. They read many books. They collect grammar rules. They save vocabulary lists. They buy another course, then another and another. Yet when someone asks a simple question in English, silence. Not because they don't know enough, because they have trained themselves to consume instead of communicate. Knowledge is important, very important, but unused knowledge slowly becomes forgotten knowledge. Imagine buying seeds every week. Your house becomes full of seed packets, beautiful flowers on every package, wonderful possibilities, but you never plant them. Years later, you still don't have a garden. Learning English is exactly the same. Every new word is only a seed. Speaking is planting it. Listening is watering it. Making mistakes is giving it sunlight. Time helps it grow, but only if you actually plant it. Sometimes people tell me, Jack, I'm embarrassed when I make mistakes. I understand. Nobody enjoys feeling embarrassed. But let me ask another question. Who remembers your mistakes more? You or everyone else? Usually, only you. Other people are busy thinking about their own lives, their own worries, their own mistakes, their own future. They are not spending hours analyzing your pronunciation. That happens only inside your own mind. Your biggest critic is usually the voice that lives inside your head. Learning to quiet that voice is one of the greatest skills you can develop. Not by arguing with it, not by trying to destroy it, simply by acting anyway. I have learned something interesting about courage. Most people imagine courage as feeling fearless. I don't. I think courage is feeling afraid and deciding that your future is more important than today's discomfort. That is courage. Every successful person you admire has experienced uncertainty. Every fluent English speaker once struggled to form simple sentences. Every confident communicator once searched for basic words. Nobody begins where they eventually arrive. That would make growth impossible. I also believe there is another invisible habit that quietly shapes our future. It is the habit of paying attention. Think about your average day. How often are you completely present, really present, not looking at your phone, not thinking about yesterday, not worrying about tomorrow, just here, listening, observing, learning? The world constantly teaches us, but only if we notice. When you listen carefully to native English speakers, don't only hear the words, notice their rhythm. Notice how they pause. Notice how they smile before speaking. Notice how simple their sentences often are. Fluency is not speaking faster. Fluency is making communication feel effortless. Many learners confuse speed with confidence, but they are different. Some of the most powerful speakers in the world speak slowly because they are not trying to impress anyone. They are trying to connect. Connection is always more valuable than perfection. I discovered this in business too. People rarely remember every word you say. They remember how you made them feel. If you make people feel respected, they remember you. If you make people feel understood, they trust you. If you make people feel important, they want to hear from you again. This is why communication is much deeper than vocabulary. It begins with curiosity. Become curious about people. Ask questions. Listen carefully. Smile sincerely. These things require no advanced English, yet they make conversations unforgettable. Sometimes a simple sentence spoken with kindness creates more opportunity than perfect grammar spoken without warmth. I learned that relationships grow through consistency, not intensity. You don't need one incredible conversation. You need many honest conversations. The same is true with your dreams. You don't need one extraordinary day. You need many ordinary days lived with intention. That may sound less exciting, but it is much more powerful. Life is not changed by occasional greatness. It is changed by repeated goodness. And once you truly understand that, everything begins to feel possible. There is another lesson I want to leave with you today. It may be one of the quietest lessons, but it has changed my life. more than many loud successes ever did. I stopped asking myself, how far do I still have to go? Instead, I began asking, am I becoming a little better than yesterday? That small change completely transformed how I measured progress. Many people become discouraged because they compare their beginning with someone else's middle. They watch a fluent English speaker and think, I'll never sound like that. They see a successful entrepreneur and think, I'll never build something that big. They compare today's version of themselves with someone who has spent 10 or 20 years practicing. Of course, that comparison feels painful. It isn't fair. Imagine planting a small tree beside a giant oak. Every morning, the little tree complains, why am I still so short? The oak tree smiles because it remembers it was once just as small. Growth has its own timing. No amount of worrying can make tomorrow arrive faster. Your job is not to become amazing overnight. Your job is to keep growing while nobody is watching. That is where character is built. People celebrate the results they can see. They rarely notice the thousands of invisible decisions behind those results. Every page someone read, every conversation they practiced, every early morning they chose discipline over comfort, every failure they quietly learned from. The audience usually sees the performance. Very few people see the preparation. I believe life rewards preparation much more than appearance. That is why I never worry about looking successful. I care much more about becoming useful. Ask yourself, when people spend time with me, do they leave encouraged? Do they learn something? Do they feel respected? If the answer becomes yes more often, success will eventually find you. Because people naturally return to those who create value. This also changes the way you should learn English. Don't learn English just to pass an exam. Don't learn English only to impress people. Learn it because every new sentence allows you to understand another human being. Every new word opens another small window into another culture. Every conversation reminds you that people everywhere laugh, hope, worry, dream, and love in surprisingly similar ways. Language is not only about speaking, it is about connecting lives that would otherwise remain strangers. When I realized that, learning English became much more meaningful. I was no longer memorizing vocabulary. I was expanding my world. Perhaps that is why I never became tired of learning. Curiosity gives energy. Fear takes energy away. Whenever you feel exhausted in your learning journey, ask yourself which one is leading you, curiosity or fear. Curiosity says, I wonder what I'll learn today. Fear says, I hope I don't make a mistake. Those two thoughts create completely different days. I always choose curiosity, not because I never feel afraid, because curiosity helps me move even when fear is present. There is another mistake I often see. People underestimate small improvements because they happen slowly. Imagine improving your pronunciation just 1% today. Tomorrow, another 1%, then another. After weeks, you barely notice. After months, other people begin noticing. After years, people call you talented. But what they call talent was often quiet consistency. The world celebrates dramatic transformation. Life usually creates gradual transformation. That is why patience is not passive. Patience is active trust. It is continuing to do the right thing before the results become visible. Think about the sunrise. The sky doesn't suddenly become bright. It changes little by little, almost too slowly to notice. Then suddenly everyone says, the sun is up. But the change started long before anyone noticed it. Your improvement works the same way. One day, you'll struggle to understand simple conversations. Then weeks later, you catch a sentence without translating. 1 month later, you answer naturally. 1 year later, someone asks, "How did you become so fluent?" They see the sunrise. They did not see the long, quiet dawn. Never become discouraged because your dawn feels slow. Beautiful things often arrive quietly. I also want to talk about failure. Not because I enjoy failing. Nobody does. But because failure has been one of my greatest teachers. When something doesn't work, most people immediately ask, who is to blame? I ask a different question. What is this experience trying to teach me? Those two questions lead to two completely different futures. Blame protects your ego. Learning improves your future. Choose carefully. Every difficult conversation has something to teach you. Every rejected application, every unsuccessful project, every awkward English conversation, every wrong answer, every uncomfortable moment, they all carry information. If you collect that information instead of collecting disappointment, you become wiser much faster. I remember many times when people doubted my ideas. Sometimes they were right. Sometimes they were wrong. Either way, I listened. Listening does not mean agreeing. Listening means being willing to learn. There is strength in humility. The strongest people are usually the easiest to teach because they never believe they already know everything. Keep that attitude throughout your life. Become a lifelong student. Read often, listen carefully, ask questions, stay curious. The day you think you have nothing left to learn, your growth quietly begins to stop. And I hope that day never comes for you, especially if you're learning English. There is always another expression, another story, another accent, another way of understanding people. Learning never truly ends. That is what makes it beautiful. Sometimes I imagine life as a very long conversation. Every person teaches us one sentence. Every experience teaches another. Every mistake teaches another. By the end of life, the people who listen carefully understand the conversation much more deeply. So don't rush. Don't compare. Don't quit because today's progress feels small. Keep showing up. Keep speaking. Keep listening. Keep reading. Keep smiling when you make mistakes. One day, you will realize something remarkable. The person you wanted to become has quietly become the person you are. And perhaps the most beautiful part of that moment is that you won't even remember exactly when it happened. Because real transformation is rarely dramatic. It is simply the result of many ordinary days lived with extraordinary intention. So tomorrow morning, when you wake up, don't ask yourself whether you feel motivated. Ask yourself a better question. What kind of person do I want to practice being today? Because identity is built through practice, not promises, not wishes, not dreams alone. Practice. Small, honest, consistent practice. If today you practice courage, tomorrow courage becomes a little more natural. If today you practice gratitude, tomorrow gratitude becomes part of your thinking. If today you practice speaking English, even for 10 minutes, tomorrow those 10 minutes become easier. And one day, without realizing it, English will stop feeling like a foreign language. It will simply become another voice through which you can express your heart. That is a wonderful feeling. And I sincerely hope you experience it because you deserve to discover just how capable you truly are. Not someday, starting today. There is one final idea I want to explore with you. It is simple, almost invisible. Yet, It quietly shapes every future you will ever have. Your daily identity. Most people wake up asking, what do I have to do today? I think there is a better question. Who do I want to become today? Those questions sound similar, but they create completely different lives. When your focus is only on tasks, you feel successful only after finishing them. But when your focus is on identity, every small action becomes meaningful. If I read today, I become a reader. If I practice English today, I become an English speaker. If I exercise today, I become someone who values health. If I keep my promise to myself today, I become someone I can trust. Notice something important. Identity is not built by one extraordinary decision. It is built by thousands of ordinary ones. That is why I never underestimate small actions. They are introducing you to your future self. Imagine meeting yourself 5 years from now. What kind of person would you like to see? Someone who finally decided to begin. Someone who kept making excuses. Someone who became stronger because they accepted discomfort. Or someone who remained comfortable but unchanged. The answer to that future meeting is hidden inside today, not tomorrow. Today, sometimes people tell me, Jack, I don't have enough time. I understand. Life is busy. Responsibilities are real, but often the problem is not the amount of time. It is the amount of intention. Think about the moments that disappear without you noticing. 5 minutes waiting for a bus. 10 minutes before sleeping. 15 minutes during lunch. These moments seem too small to matter. But life is made of moments exactly like these. 5 minutes of English listening every day becomes more than 30 hours in 1 year. 10 new words every week become hundreds before you realize it. One honest conversation every day builds friendships that can last a lifetime. Never underestimate what small moments can become. I also want to remind you that success is not always visible. Some days your progress will feel invisible. You study, you practice, you repeat, yet nothing seems different. Don't panic. Bamboo trees spend years growing underground before anyone sees them above the surface. During that time, people might think nothing is happening, but the roots are becoming stronger. When the tree finally grows, it grows remarkably fast. Your preparation works the same way. Every English sentence you shadow, every podcast you patiently listen to, every pronunciation mistake you correct, every uncomfortable conversation you survive, you are building roots, strong roots, and strong roots create strong futures. Please don't quit simply because your roots are still underground. There is another habit that has helped me throughout my life. Protect your attention. Today, attention has become one of the most valuable resources in the world. Everyone wants it. Advertisements want it. Social media wants it. Notifications want it. Even people around you often compete for it. If you cannot control your attention, someone else always will. That is why I like quiet moments. Moments without noise. Moments without endless scrolling. Moments where I can simply think. Thinking has become a rare skill. Many people react. Very few people reflect. Reflection creates wisdom. Without reflection, experience becomes repetition. You can repeat the same mistake for 10 years. Or you can reflect once and never repeat it again. Reflection saves time. Every evening, ask yourself a few gentle questions. What did I learn today? What made me smile? Where did I become impatient? How could I communicate better tomorrow? Did I spend my attention on things that matter? These questions are not meant to make you feel guilty. They help you become aware. Awareness always comes before improvement. You cannot change what you refuse to notice. Another lesson I hope you remember is this. Be careful about the people you listen to. Everyone has an opinion. Not everyone has experience. Some people will tell you your dream is impossible. Sometimes they are describing their own limits, not yours. Listen respectfully, but think independently. I learned much more from people who encourage responsibility than from people who encouraged excuses. Excuses sound comforting today. Responsibility creates freedom tomorrow. When something goes wrong, try replacing one sentence. Instead of saying, "Why did this happen to me?" ask, "What can this teach me?" That one habit alone can completely change your future. Because every challenge arrives carrying two invisible gifts, a lesson and a choice. The lesson is always there. The choice is whether you accept it. This mindset also changes your English learning. Instead of saying, "I made another mistake," smile and say, "I discovered another way that doesn't work." That is exactly how children learn. They do not apologize for learning. They simply continue. Perhaps adults should learn that again. Give yourself permission to be a beginner. Every expert was give yourself permission to pause, not to quit. There is a difference. Rest is a part of progress. Giving up is not. Sometimes the best thing you can do is sleep well. Wake up and continue. Consistency does not require perfection. It requires returning again and again and again. I also hope you never lose your sense of wonder. Stay fascinated by life. Learn a new word and smile because your world just became a little bigger. Meet someone from another country and become curious about their story. Read a book that challenges your thinking. Travel if you can. If you cannot travel, read. Books allow your mind to travel even when your body stays home. Curiosity keeps the heart young. The day you stop asking questions, life becomes much smaller. There is one sentence I quietly repeat to myself whenever life becomes difficult. This moment is also teaching me. Sometimes the lesson is patience. Sometimes courage. Sometimes humility. Sometimes gratitude. But there is always a lesson. Once you believe that, even difficult days begin to feel meaningful. Before we say goodbye, I want you to imagine tomorrow morning, your alarm rings. You slowly open your eyes. For just a few seconds, don't reach for your phone. Instead, take one deep breath. Smile gently and ask yourself, what is one small thing I can do today that my future self will thank me for? Maybe it is listening to English for 15 minutes. Maybe it is finally speaking instead of only studying. Maybe it is calling someone you love. Maybe it is reading a few pages. Maybe it is simply keeping one promise you made to yourself. Choose one thing, not 10. One. Then do it with your full heart. Tomorrow, choose another. And another after that. Years from now, people may ask you, how did your life change so much? You can smile because you will know the answer. It wasn't one miracle. It wasn't one lucky break. It wasn't one perfect opportunity. It was thousands of quiet mornings, thousands of small decisions, thousands of moments when you chose growth instead of comfort. Those choices became habits. Those habits became character. That character became your future. And that future began with a single decision. The decision to begin. Thank you for spending this time with me. I truly hope these words stay with you long after this video ends. Take good care of yourself. Keep learning. Keep listening. Keep speaking, even when your voice shakes. Keep believing, even when progress feels slow. One day, without even noticing when it happened, you will look back and realize that the person who once doubted everything has become someone who quietly inspires others. Until we meet again, continue your English journey with the next video. Don't rush. Just keep moving forward, one conversation, one lesson, and one small step at a time. Your best version is already being built, one day after another.